You are lying in bed after a long day. Your body feels heavy. Your thoughts begin to fade. Within minutes, the world around you disappears. Then, without realizing it, you are somewhere else. You are walking through your childhood home. The walls look familiar. The air feels real. Someone calls your name from another room. Everything seems perfectly normal until you glance at a clock. The numbers change. You look away. You look back. They change again. For a moment, something strange happens. A quiet thought appears inside your mind. This isn't real. You don't wake up. The room doesn't disappear. Instead, something far more extraordinary happens. You become aware while the dream continues. Most people assume this is simply a vivid dream. Others imagine it as a supernatural experience or proof that consciousness exists beyond the brain. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain has entered one of the rarest states of human consciousness ever recorded. A state where the sleeping mind briefly becomes aware of itself. Scientists call it lucid dreaming. For centuries, people struggled to explain experiences like this. Ancient Tibetan Buddhist traditions developed dream yoga, a practice that encouraged awareness during dreams as a path toward understanding consciousness. Ancient Greek philosophers occasionally wrote about recognizing dreams while still asleep. Aristotle himself described moments when a sleeper could realize that what they were seeing was only a dream. Long before neuroscience existed, people already suspected something unusual could happen inside the sleeping mind. But nobody knew how or why. Everything began to change in the 20th century. For decades, many psychologists believed lucid dreaming was impossible. After all, if every muscle in your body is asleep and your eyes are closed, how could anyone prove they were conscious inside a dream? Dream reports alone weren't enough. Scientists needed evidence. That evidence finally arrived in 1975. British psychologist Keith Hearn designed an experiment unlike anything before it. He knew that during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, the stage where most vivid dreams occur, the body becomes temporarily paralyzed. Almost every muscle stops moving, but the eyes remain free. Hearn wondered whether a lucid dreamer could intentionally move their eyes while dreaming. If they could, those eye movements would appear on laboratory equipment. And they did. Volunteer Alan Worsley became lucid inside a dream and moved his eyes in a prearranged pattern. The recording captured every movement. For the first time in history, someone had successfully communicated from inside a dream. A few years later, American psychophysiologist Stephen LaBerge repeated the experiments at Stanford University. His results confirmed the discovery. Lucid dreaming was no longer speculation. It was measurable science. That changed everything. Because researchers no longer had to ask whether lucid dreams existed. Now they could ask something much more interesting. What is happening inside the brain? During ordinary dreaming, especially during REM sleep, your brain behaves in a very unusual way. Visual areas become incredibly active. Emotional centers such as the amygdala become highly engaged. Memory networks begin pulling together fragments of people, places, fears, and experiences. Your brain builds an entire world from those pieces. And then it places you inside it. The remarkable part is that you rarely question any of it. A hallway suddenly becomes an ocean. A stranger becomes your best friend. Gravity disappears. Time bends. Yet everything still feels perfectly logical. Why? Because one important brain region becomes less active during ordinary dreaming. The prefrontal cortex. This area sits just behind your forehead. It helps with planning, reasoning, self-reflection, and recognizing when something doesn't make sense. While you dream, much of that internal fact-checking system quiets down. Without it, your brain accepts almost anything. Flying feels normal. Talking animals seem ordinary. Changing buildings never raise suspicion. Until something changes. Sometimes, for reasons scientists still don't completely understand, parts of the prefrontal cortex begin becoming active again. Not fully, just enough. Suddenly your critical thinking returns. You notice impossible details. You question your surroundings. You ask yourself a simple question. Could this be a dream? The moment you answer yes, everything changes. People often describe becoming lucid as if someone turned on a light inside their mind. Colors become brighter. Sounds become clearer. Objects appear incredibly detailed. Some even report that lucid dreams feel more vivid than waking life itself. This surprises neuroscientists. You might expect dreams to become less realistic once you realize they are dreams. Instead, many become even more convincing. Popular culture often portrays lucid dreamers as all-powerful creators. You become aware. Then you control everything. At least, that's the story. Reality is far more complicated. Some lucid dreamers can fly. Others can change locations. Some can summon people. Many cannot do any of those things. Because becoming aware does not mean taking complete control. The dream continues following its own logic. Sometimes doors refuse to open. Characters ignore commands. Entire landscapes transform without permission. The unconscious mind is still writing most of the story. You simply become conscious enough to watch it unfold. Researchers have even used lucid dreaming to study consciousness itself. During laboratory experiments, lucid dreamers have solved simple math problems, counted seconds, responded to external sounds, and communicated through planned eye movements while remaining asleep. Few other mental states allow awareness and dreaming to exist together so clearly. Not every lucid dream is pleasant. Some people become aware during nightmares. Instead of escaping, they suddenly realize the monster chasing them isn't real. Others experience false awakenings. You believe you've woken up. You get out of bed, brush your teeth, check your phone. Then something impossible happens, and you wake up again, only to discover that the first awakening was another dream. Experiences like these reveal something unsettling. Your brain can simulate reality with astonishing precision, sometimes so precisely that even your conscious mind cannot immediately tell the difference. Why would such an ability exist? Nobody knows for certain. Some researchers believe lucid dreaming may simply be a rare side effect of the brain's complex sleep processes. Others suggest it reflects your brain briefly monitoring itself while remaining asleep. There is still no definitive answer. But perhaps that uncertainty is the most fascinating discovery of all. Because every night, your brain quietly performs one of the most complex acts in nature. It builds an entire universe. It fills that universe with people, places, memories, emotions, and impossible events. Then it convinces you that every part of it is real. And sometimes, it allows you to discover the truth from inside the illusion. When you become conscious inside a dream, your brain does not simply wake up. Instead, a network associated with self-awareness and reflective thought partially reactivates while the dream-generating machinery of REM sleep continues operating. You are still dreaming. The world around you is still a construction of your sleeping brain. But now the construction contains an observer who recognizes it as a construction. That observer can sometimes influence the dream, communicate with researchers, and experience a level of clarity that feels astonishingly real. Yet much of the dream remains beyond conscious control, revealing that the unconscious mind is still doing most of the creative work. So the next time you notice something impossible in a dream, a clock that changes every time you look at it, a door leading to the wrong place, a familiar face that is somehow unfamiliar, remember that the real mystery is not whether dreams are real. The real mystery is that a sleeping brain can occasionally turn inward, recognize its own illusion, and whisper to itself, "You are dreaming." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed exploring the hidden story behind your ancestors' daily lives, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next journey into human history, evolution, and the mysteries that still live inside you today.